Preview time again. Daggy Danaan back with you to get stuck into a bit of Origin chat and also look at we're up to 20 of the National Rugby League. How are you, my friend?
All right, mate. Doing well. Ready for Origin tomorrow night.
It is tomorrow night, indeed. Let's get, or just very quickly as well, appreciate everyone's patience sort of over the last month to 6 weeks as we've scrambled to get a few things sorted, but we will be back with hopefully a review show from around round 22. Maybe we can go to the pub if you're allowed out by then. And uh, obviously the previews will continue. That's coming back. Show us your tips. Racing fans will be back in a couple of weeks as well with the Beaver as we head into the spring carnival. Club Trev's on the horizon, I hear, so there's that as well. And hopefully even a website, if that's such a thing anymore, is also being discussed. So a bit to come, of which Dana knows nothing, but, surprise. And all that ahead. But yeah, it's been a rough sort of month or so, but some light at the end of the tunnel now, and I appreciate everyone's patience there. Of course, leave us some feedback below or via all the socials. Any news, buddy, that's caught your eye this week?
I think the biggest talking point over the weekend was William Kennedy getting a week for pretty much a collision which was Adam G's fault.
Agree. But I said the same when the Hughes thing happened. I've said it. Who got off? One of them got off. Roosters player?
Kennedy got off earlier in the year for it.
Okay. Was it him? Yeah.
It might have been him. So maybe that's why they've doubled down. They're like, we've already let you off once. We're going to get you this time. But to stop eating football, if you're a player and you're going to swing at a referee, whatever happens in the NRL is not going to affect what you're going to do on the field on a Saturday or Sunday at the local park.
Exactly. I think it's been a long time since I've listened to them, but honestly, the stuff that, and I'm sure he's a very nice man, the stuff that comes out of Annesley's mouth defending these decisions these days is almost satire at times at this point.
Yeah. It's I think the game's gone downhill since his appointment. The weekly feedback is pretty much this is what we done wrong, this is what we done wrong, and this is what we done wrong. It's almost got to the point where I don't think it's not doing good for. It wouldn't be doing any good for the mentality of the referees.
I agree, but I don't know what it achieves.
Yeah, imagine you, like your boss.
How long has he been doing it? What 2 years now? Maybe 3.
Yeah,
there was never a thing beforehand. Why? What's it to achieve? Because even when you come out and say, "Oh, we got that golden point decision wrong. It shouldn't have been a penalty in front." Well, they don't turn around and give 2 points back.
Exactly. Tell me another job where your boss comes out every Monday morning and tells everyone all the mistakes that you made during the week.
Exactly. If you go to that path, you may as well just have the referees have to attend a press conference.
Yeah, pretty much.
But over the 5 years of the show, we've tried to avoid too much ref bashing, but God, it's become harder and harder.
Well, that's not ref bashing. That's more the NRL itself.
Yeah, well, it's not ref bashing. It's pointing out.
That's a match review committee, and the NRL have made that decision. That's Jetty probably should have just stayed still. And from experience, just in even local refereeing, you get told to do that, catch up once the tackle's made type situation because that there's people coming through. So I'm sure G would have got in trouble at some point there in terms of his positioning in the play, but the actual suspensions, the NRL and the NS match review committee, just ridiculous.
Well, I wasn't a huge fan of some of Adam G's decision all night. Now, I thought it was one of his, and that's the result of. So obviously, 50 points is a big margin to blame anything to do with refs, of course. But God, they just weren't given a chance in that game in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't want to spend any time really on the review because there's a bunch of nothing happening games. The only takeaway really for me is that I think you're going to see I think the queue is in the rack for some of these teams that are out of contention. And I think now you're going to see these top teams wound up and winding up for finals footy, and I think there's going to be some real gap jobs coming in this next month.
Yeah, I think it's safe to put a pen through the Broncos after the weekend. Yeah, that was pretty much one of their must-win games. And surprisingly, the Dragons are only 2 wins off second spot. I know for and against is massively different, but they're only 2 wins behind the Roosters and Panthers.
So who have they got coming up? So they've got, I'm just looking at Panthers, Storm, Bulldogs, Titans, Sharks, Dragons. So realistically, a chance in 3 of those?
Yeah.
Interesting. I got to say that the top 8's far from decided, and most games still mean something, at least for now, apart unless you're in the bottom 4. So there is plenty to play for each week, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say from the Broncos down, they're out. So 13th through to 17th have no chance now. Warriors, Raiders, Knights, Dragons all could make the 8, and I wouldn't be surprised.
And I haven't, I'm just looking at this, and there are a few buys still to come into play across those as well. Interesting. And makes for some interesting preview when we get there. I'm trying to think, there's not a whole lot of other news apart from the fact that another Immortal's coming out in the next few weeks. I haven't given any thought. Don't really time to, but we might discuss that next week. And I guess we will look at the Origin matchup tomorrow. Well, we've mentioned the teams last week, but we made major changes. Ponga comes in for Queensland on the bench. Selwyn Colbert comes onto the wing. Reid Marnie is cover for Harry. I haven't seen an update since then.
They're saying, I read something today saying Harry will be fine.
Okay.
And he's been named for the Storm this weekend as well.
And I think Bradman Best is fine as well, but Matt Burton's on standby with Suwali being called back into the squad as an extended standby. No Latrell, no Olakau'atu. Big gap to turn around, going to Suncorp, or coming home to Suncorp for Queensland. Can it be done?
It can be done because it's Queensland. It's the if New South Wales win it, it's purely because of the forwards that Queensland are missing. The scoreboard blew out because we only had 12 in the first game. I think I gave us a red hot crack to win that first game. Saw the team sheet in the second, was highly confident, and I felt that same confidence. As I said last week, we're starting 12 points behind, but looking at that side, it's a side I feel can score 4 to 5 tries. It's just, can they defend that with the Queensland crowd behind them, a penalty count that's probably going to end up 9-2 the way of Queensland. The big one for me in this, and we're going to go down that ref bashing path, is Ashley Klein loves his random 6 against.
Mm-hmm.
And if the crowd really giving it to him, I can see just 6 against for things that just wouldn't be worth penalties in Origin being called. And they're a massive momentum swinger in a regular game, let alone in Origin.
Absolutely. Giving this some thought today, I actually came to the same sort of conclusion you did. I'm tipping New South Wales. I'm terribly uncomfortable and I wouldn't invest in it or anything, but I don't see how that forward pack can actually match up to what New South Wales produced last time. And if it does...
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're missing Tino. They're missing Flegler. Fafita should be there. And I think there was at least one other Australian representative forward that they're missing.
Yeah. The back rower. Dolphins back rower. It's been out a year.
I can't remember. Yeah, but there's 4 Australian forwards that are not playing in this Queensland side.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And it does now, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but it does now feel small with Capewell, Cotter having to match up. Kafusi's not enormous. Nanai's bigger than but that's not a big in forward pack. And I just think it was sort of under discussed just how amazing Payne Haas was for the first 20 of that second Origin game. Just really setting the tempo, and then Angus with more time and space than Nico gave him first game. They just were so physical and dominant that I think it's a long way back, but not an impossible way back because, like you say, it is Queensland. It is still Mitch Moses in a clutch game, an actual clutch game. So there's little bits and pieces that I can't declare them, and I still think it's gonna be an entertaining game. But I'm going to go New South Wales, possibly by 8. Let's go with that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be that 1-12 scoreline. The inclusion of Mitch Barnett, I think that's a great inclusion.
Yep.
Because he can play where Olakau'atu wasn't used the best because he's more of that second rower.
Mm-hmm.
But Angus and Liam Martin have been two of New South Wales' best, and they're 80-minute players.
Yeah.
So you've got the perfect replacement there if somebody does get injured. But Barnett does play that bash him up through the middle style for the Warriors, so he can just slot straight into that forward rotation as required. I think it's a great selection from Madge.
I agree. It almost, obviously Spencer's going to change it then, but it almost gives him 2 cracks at that, like another fresh body right in the middle.
Yeah.
It also gives the option to they can move Murray to an edge, they can move Martin into the middle. Just gives them so much versatility. So, yeah, I agree. Very good point there. Final say?
New South Wales win by 10. I'm going to say Zach Lomax.
We just lost you there. So you just dropped out there. Go again.
Yeah, no. New South Wales by 10. I think Lomax, he's going to cap his storage is bigger than 200 plus minutes, couple tries, hopefully. And Moses, though, will get player of the series.
Okay, I was going to say, if Lomax does that, would he'd be close to player of the series?
Yeah. If New South Wales win, I think it's between Moses and Angus.
Yeah.
Angus might actually have him, or Angus might get him because he played the first game, but I don't know how many New South Wales guys would have got anything due to the score.
Lomax still tried his ass off out in that wing.
Yeah.
In that first game. But yeah, okay. Hard to go past them. We then get to this round, the Origin round. And just a final word, like I'm very much of the school now that I just think move Origin to the end of the year. Like, it's so disruptive. I don't know how well Brisbane were going anyway, but it's ruined Brisbane's season, I would suggest. Various assets of it. At least I like to blame that. Well, their fans do, but I just think, like I've said multiple times, no other sport in the world would just let their comp be gutted for 8 weeks at the alleged highest level.
Yeah, well, there's an interesting thought on, like, the players say they want to play less. So do you just do it over 3 weekends in the middle of the comp? And that's when you can have, you shut it down, and but you still have your internationals. You still have your Samoa versus Tonga, your England versus New Zealand type thing, your PNG, Cook Islands.
I'd be okay. And play, you know what I'd do? Play Origin, say Monday, Sunday, Friday or something.
Yeah, something like that. You can have your New South Wales versus Queensland resident side.
3 games in 2 weeks.
That's it. You've got the women's game in both. Then you've got the junior form. So you're talking like 16s, 18s, 20s. Like, there's enough.
And if you know you're going to do it for, say, you're going to combine all and do it, say, a 2, maybe 3 period, get the UK out here. Get some UK teams out if you have to.
That's it. Like, there's a lot of options that they could do, and I think it would just fix the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that once we hit 20 teams, it could happen. 19 rounds, everyone plays each other once, and then you've still got, a 3-week period in the middle of football. It comes down to the dollar figures, though. I don't know how much it's worth to Foxtel and Nine having this disrupted 8-week period, but it must be worth something. Otherwise, I guess they wouldn't be doing it.
Well, it's exclusive for Nine now, but I'm sure that'd be more. They're still going to pop 1 million view or whatever it is, close to 1 million viewers if it's on a Monday night or a Wednesday night.
Yeah, 100%.
And they can cop 1 week of 60 minutes being out in the middle, being out of Or play it on a Saturday night,
Yeah,
Go Monday, Saturday, Friday, or whatever it might be. I know it sounds like a short turnaround, but
yeah,
they do it every other week.
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we've got to now look at round 20 of the NRL, and all these come with the caveats of obvious potential origin resting and injuries. Although, as we've seen, most players were generally back up these days. We kick off the Raiders and the Warriors. Not many involved here, though. We're from GIO. Raiders get Jamal Fogarty back for his first game since round 7. Obviously, Hudson Young as well. Zach Hoskins named on the bench. Seb Chris into the centres. For the Warriors, RTS moves to the wing. No Chance and Montoya. Ali Lauatiti into the centres. Toru Harris out for the season with a wrist injury, which is a real big loss. And a 2-day turnaround for Barnett and Capewell. Generally, it probably depend how many minutes Barnett plays, but generally, Webster's pretty cautious from that point of view. And how are you going to start off round 20?
Well, I think it very well could come down to the Barnett minutes in Origin. But with Toru out, Chan's out, I do see the Warriors struggling in this one. They've been so on and off. If this was in New Zealand, I probably would favour them, but I'm going to say Raiders 1-12, close game. It'll definitely be in the forward. So we're looking at like a Hudson Young, man of the match, or because they're both tied on the ladder, just sitting outside the top 8. So it's a game that neither can afford to lose. But yeah, I think the Raiders being at home might just have a slight edge.
I can't bring myself to tip either of these teams, but I'm gonna go Raiders at home. Same thing. That's beat me a couple of times this year. I think the ins are important. A better kicking game from Fogarty. Hoskins, if he's fit, will get through his work as usual, and Young gives him a point of attack on an edge. I can see Barnett backing up. I reckon Capewell sits out, which brings a Bunty or Ale back into the team, I would guess. Jackson Ford named on the bench as of right now, probably slides into that starting side, possibly even in the middle again. So see that rotation happening, but bit of a I think it's going to be like the Warriors last few weeks. It might be 14-12 or something, and someone will kick a field goal or drop a ball leading to a try, and that'll be the game.
And you agree that the loser's gone?
Yeah.
That'd pretty much be that'd be 3 wins out of the 8, most likely by the end of the round.
Yeah,
or close enough to it.
We're to Gosford. Bunnies hosting the Tigers, which sees Cam Murray named on an edge here with Colin Matungi keeping his 13th spot. Great credit to him, and not necessarily a bad thing. That said, he's still got to back up. We've got Havili making way as well for Liam LeBlanc into onto the reserves. Talon De Silva comes in, no Appy. Luke Loeely comes back in the starting lineup. Heath Mason, Ruben Porter.
Jair is out. Jair is gone for the season. He's the one that's on the bench.
His shoulder's been hanging on by a thread for months, poor bugger. But Latu Fainu also in for the Tigers, Jordan Miller, and Charlie Staines is back as well. Just looking through that. I believe 5 teenagers in this Tigers team, which I'm not giving much hope for. Look, I hope they found a bit more spark than they had last week, but I'm going to go Bunnies 13 plus, and when Colin Matungi, Walker, White, and Gray have their way here, Johnston on for a hat trick and game first try scorer, man of the match. Cody Walker, time and space. When he's had it this year, and especially last few weeks, he's just had it on a string. So man of the match for him in my humble.
Yeah, I think you've summed that one up perfectly. The fact that he's not playing as well just adds to that. It looks like Benji's just going to swing the axe every week now that the Tigers don't perform, and he's like, well, if you guys don't, I'm just going to try somebody else. So there's pros and cons to it, I guess, but I mean, it must be frustrating from the Tigers fan.
Injury has played they are missing, I think, 7 or 8 still. But
yeah,
by this stage, you may as well throw some 19-year-olds, give them 2 games, get them back out, and get some blooding for next year. There's lots of good signs next year. Obviously, I've loved Pole. I've loved both the Fainu brothers, what they've bought. Latu's been good on his return to reserve grade. Lauili had some moments. Jareen Buller, probably his best game all year against Melbourne. Bits and pieces that you can just go again next year.
And that's one of the things I've noticed, with the Eels. It's when those young kids are coming through that they're not dragging that pressure of, they've lost 10 games already this year.
Yeah.
They're fresh and they want to really give it their all. So, you might not get the win, but at least the kids that are getting put in are going to give it their all for the for the 80 minutes, they're giving that 100%. And if you only lose due to experience, you don't mind as much as when you've got your, pretty much your best 17 getting towed up every week.
Exactly. And like you say, just no baggage. And a lot of those kids, have lost 2 games in 5 years at some of that rep level.
Yeah.
5:30 at McDonald's Jones Stadium. The Knights host the Broncos. Ponga named to back up. Assume he will. Bradman Best, Gay Guy, a watch on it as well. Dylan Lucas is back to the bench as a result. And no Fletcher Sharp and Thomas Cant on last week's team. Same 17 for the for the Broncos, but we've got Cobbo, Carrigan, Haas, Reynolds, Walsh, all in the jerseys 20 through 24. I assume they do back up, but as it stands right now, I'm going to tip Newcastle. I think Brisbane might be done. I've said it the last few weeks, and we've seen it in practice. We saw it with the Dragons game last week, even. The proper first graders get the job done on these reserve grade teams, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I'm going to go 1-12 Knights. Greg Marzu, off a bit of a bludgeon last week, perhaps bounces back with first try, and Kalen Ponga, now third up from injury, off an Origin game, getting involved, a couple of try assists, and we'll give him man of the match. What are you thinking?
I think Sportsbet must know Reynolds is playing, because I don't know how the Knights are the $2.19 outsiders here.
Yeah.
If Reynolds doesn't play, I think Knights are comfortable in a here, especially if Ponga backs up. And so I'm going to go it off Ponga backing up. I'm going to say he's the man of the match in a 13-point plus win. With Bradman, the first try scorer, I as you said, they're just going to outdo the Broncos. They've been extremely heavily hit in injury, and if they're if their Origin players don't back up, they've no chance.
Mm-hmm. We'll wait and see. As you say, the market's done based off that, and I feel like Kevy's getting desperate, so I feel like you're going to see them all there.
And that's what I'm saying. And if they've got Walsh, Cobbo, Carrigan, Haas, Reynolds, they're deserved favourites. But if with those 5, as it currently stands, they're not in the 17, I can't tip them.
The main event on the end of the day, what's probably going to be at least not a boring Super Saturday. The Storm host the Roosters in a potential minor premiership level clash. For the Storm, Nick Meaney's back, and Gary Anderson moves to the wing. Harry's been named. We'll see what happens there. Swahili's back, just in case they need some more strike power for the Chooks. And Radley as well. Terrell May starts with Jared getting his 4 weeks, and obviously Crichton, Collins, Leniu, Watson all named to back up. They generally do. What a cracker. What do you think?
I think this is where it's going to... Melbourne's weakness in defence that they have had this year, I think is going to be shown. I've got the Roosters winning, and probably it wouldn't surprise me if it's a high-scoring game. Mm-hmm. I can see the Roosters running 5, 6, 7 tries in here, but they're more than likely to also just the Melbourne attack is that good. They'll probably score 4 or 5 themselves, but it'll be like the under-20s from a few years ago, 40, 30 try scoreline. Two sides that are normally known for great defence and great attack, but both are kind of lacking on that defensive side, and the Roosters just had the better attack of the two.
Who leads away? Man of the match, first try.
First try. He's the easy choice. And as for man of the match, it probably is going to come down to the halfback. So if I'm tipping the Roosters, it's going to have to be Walker, which feels like the first time I'm actually going 6 weeks on the show.
I 13 plus Roosters. I'm going to stamp them. I think they're going to put us. The difference is going to be, I think the Roosters' goal line defense is still a tiny bit underrated. I know people have raved about the Dogs, and I don't think the Roosters are far off them. And I don't know that there's enough strike with the Storm. I know Jerome Hughes been in phenomenal form, as has Wishart, but I just don't think there's enough sort of across the park strike where they can't shut that down. And I can see points coming. Warbrick's actually had a good month, but we know his defensive issues at times, and I can see Sam Walker sort of pulling him in a few sets and pushing him out, and a rainbow ball over the top and some kicks behind, and just sort of making his life a nightmare. Having a real big day out. So I would have tipped Sam Walker man of the match, but for the sake of the argument, I'm going to go, I think the next best to be Teddy. I think he's had a great season all the way through, and he'll be up there again. And agree with you. I think as a result, just that playing on Warbrick and opening up Dom Young to score first, I'm going to go either a rainbow ball or straight off the back of a scrum. They love that sort of very simple, bang, 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 straight to Young in the corner. One of those plays, I think, sets us up. But this might just be a real statement game for the Roosters, assuming everyone is on deck. We've got a full Sunday. Triple header on Sunday as well. Panthers and Dolphins from Bluebet. Dane Laurie is in the number 1 jersey at the moment. With actually, we'll have given Edwards a week off, so he won't back up. Luai's named at 22. We know Cleary's very cautious, and Luai's been doing all the work lately, so I imagine Luai gets a week off as well. But the other Cleary, the important Cleary, Nathan, is back at 7. It is still a thin-looking backline for the Panthers, and one that's not been as it's a thin-looking Panthers team. Let me just read this out with no Yo either. We've got a bench of Talau, Smith, Henry, and Patea, and a backline of Laurie Taruva Tungo, Casey McLean, Paul Alamote, Brad Schneider. And I'm having second thoughts about everything right now. The Dolphins, Hammer is back, and Kafusi's back, named to back up. Trey Fuller keeps a bench spot. And the rest of it looks like exactly what this team looks like most weeks. Max Plath still at 9, Kenny Bromwich into the 13. What are you thinking? Because now I'm rethinking.
You'd argue the Dolphins have the better back 5.
Yes. I wouldn't argue. I'd say they do.
Yeah, but then outside of that, I'd say it's just all Penrith.
Yeah. Depth is, don't they? I mean, bench. I suppose full-time Penrith benches, aren't they?
Yeah. So I think the forwards for Panthers will get it done. TPJ played amazing last week, but I don't think there's enough points in that Dolphin side if Cleary is back and 100%. You could only assume he is 100%. They wouldn't risk him. They're going well enough without him.
I'm treating Nathan Cleary as ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, 100%. And so if that's the case, 13 plus, he'll end up getting out of the match if they win. First try scorer could be Dane Laurie. He has been playing quite well when he has been playing for them. My biggest thing, I wish the Dolphins had a spot for Trey Fuller in their starting side. I just love watching that guy play. He's such a talent. He's too good to not be starting for a club.
He's better than at least 2 other full-time NRL fullbacks. I won't name names, but they possibly more. I would say, but I'm tipping the Dolphins. I tipped them upsets for the month leading into last week. The minute I jump off, they won, but I just can't get over the discrepancy in that backline. And the backline has found form. Bostock, Farnworth have been in great form. And I'd be keener if it was at KO or even Suncorp. The blue bet's still a concern as well, but I think the forwards can almost match up. I think TPJ's been great since he's come back, given some real size. If they can at least match, I think there's a couple of individual efforts that can change this. Herbie Farnworth, we'll go with him man of the match and perhaps first try as well. And if Hammer plays, I'm on him for a double.
I think Americans too much of a loss, and just there just wasn't a. Yeah, I think those two were just too much for. Going to be too much for him. Still great in defence, Plath was, but it's just not the same as having a genuine hooker, ball distribution. Like Jeremy Marshall King's been amazing.
Yep.
And as has Ewan Aiken, we would Origin.
No, I agree with that. 4 Pines. Yeah. Sorry, it's dropped out there. 4 Pines. Seagulls host the Titans, which sees DCE and Jake both named to back up. Obviously, Jamie Hunt-Reeves drops out. Nathan Brown goes back to lock. Ben Turbo is back on the bench and Pasaka on an extended bench. Kino Keeney is back at fullback. AJ, 18th man, so I guess we'll keep an eye on him. Mo's named to back up from Origin. Should he back up in good order? What do you do here?
Well, AJ won't be 18th man.
So he plays?
I think they'll end up running out with the same side as what they did last week. He's too good. He's too good to be 8th man.
Yeah.
If this is another one, if DC is Manly win comfortably, if he doesn't play, I feel like it's a coin toss. It's a good in May, but have been good the last 2 weeks. Yeah, if DC plays, I think the boss. Tommy Turbo back last week at fullback, played absolutely amazing. Jason Saab, since being back from injury, has been amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
So I do think Manly will get it over the line at home. But I'm definitely not as confident if DC isn't there.
You shattered my confidence because I was tipping the upset again here, and it might be because I'm now 2 or 3 behind in a tipping comp and I want to catch up on a couple, but I sort of was giving the Titans a real sniff. I still think I'm still giving a sniff, but yeah, you're probably right. I'm going to go with you at home. Should they be full strength, Manly 1-12 in a close one, possibly even a 4 and Cherry Evans shootout. We'll go to Golden Point. Should it be the case, DCE man of the match, first try scorer, Saab, as you said. I think he scored 6 in the last month or something. So he's going all right. We're going to wrap up with the Cowboys and the Dogs in what would 10 years ago have been another Monday night game, but Queensland Country Bank Stadium hosts them. All of the Origin players have been named. And Samuel Villiers is also on the extended bench right now. Obviously, none of them are in the side. For the Dogs, Preston returns from a foot injury, which is good. Josh Curran back to the bench. No Max King. I think he's out for an extended period.
No, Curran starting. Curran starting for King.
Oh, apologies. Sorry. Curran's moves to the middle. You're right. Preston onto an edge. And Stephen Crichton will back up. Matt Burton and Reed also will play, assuming they're not going to play on Wednesday night. I think Bulldogs go up there, get the job done, keep their streak going probably comfortably. Unfortunately, comfortably for the Bulldogs is still at 1-12. They like to still keep it close enough, but I think the defense is good enough, and we just haven't seen it out of the Cowboys where I can tip otherwise. Matt Burton's kicking game, once again, difference. Man of the match for him. First try scorer, my boy Blake Wilson on the wing.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Bulldogs defense, I reckon if you went unders every game they've played this year, you'd be well in front. Unders and 1-12 margin, you'd be absolutely flying right now. And I think it'll be something similar, like less than 30 points scored, whether it's 2 tries to 3. It must be a painful ride, painful yet fun ride for Bulldogs fans this year, because you'd just love for them to put sides away instead of these close nail-biting wins constantly. Like, obviously, you take any win you can get, but geez, it'd be nice for the fans if they could go into the last few minutes be 10 points in front instead of just 2 or 4 or something. But I feel like it's going to be another one of those games where the Cowboys will have a chance to take it in the last 10 minutes, but the Bulldogs defense will hold on. We're talking like 16-10 types. Cowboys have almost been playing better when the Origin guys haven't been there. I don't know why. They won a few games over that Origin period. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to say Bulldogs win 1-12 in a low-scoring match. Jacob Carraz to be the first try scorer, and I'm going to go Sexton man of the match.
Fantastic. Very interesting round. And then got your frothing.
Yeah, Eels are getting the bye, so we've got 2 points, so we're off the bottom of the ladder.
Don't rub in.
No, just Origin, and I just hope that it's decided by the players and not the officials. It'll be first time in 30 years New South Wales have been able to win the decider in Suncorp after losing game 1. So yeah, tomorrow night, massive game, and then just watching the other games slowly unfold and continuing to slowly putting lines through. It's almost feels like it'll be one team a week. We'll kind of be putting a line through for the rest of the season. So this week's game, it's the Raiders Warriors. Loser can book their end of year trip, and the winner gets to keep on.
I'm looking forward to that Storm Roosters game. I'm hoping a team makes a statement there and really battens that down. And the more I've thought about this, I don't think it's a bad shout that Dolphins can upset Penrith with a blue bet. I think that's going to be a very good game as well. Thanks, mate. Do it all again next week.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for some of I think Danaan's crappy internet may have lost us a few bits and bobs in between. So thanks for your patience there. I'll try and put it back together as best I can. But before you know it, we'll be doing it live with a schooner. So what's better than that? Take care, and we'll talk again next week.